Well, at the Kansas Farm Bureau meeting, a lot of presenters, and one of those looks at the markets. Tom Leffler, Leffler Commodities LLC, who's based out of Augusta, Kansas. But Tom, as we look, 2015, I think people are kind of going, what happened?
Yeah, 2015 is going to be one of those years we won't forget for a long time. But what really worries me is what's going to happen in 2016. I think 2016 is going to be rougher than 2015 because it's one of the questions in there today was, what about our input costs? Our input costs are not coming down, but our prices we receive are, and upside is going to be hard to come by next year, and I'm afraid we're going to see a tough year ahead of us.
I know the topic of your presentation here was, are you giving or we're not giving the markets enough respect? I guess, what do you mean by that?
Well, I'm really talking about people's marketing plans. Okay. Do they really respect their marketing plan? Do they really have one? And that's what got a lot of people in trouble this year. Didn't have a marketing plan. When the prices were there, they weren't high enough for them, or they didn't know what they really needed. And boy, I'm going to tell you, this is going to be a year where it's going to be nice to have a marketing plan to really give you an idea when the prices do rally, is it enough to help us out?
There's an awful lot of grain on the ground in the country. Is that helping or hurting, or were you going to simply, is it going to be a matter of who decides they're going to need the money or the product quick enough, and they're the ones going to be the one kind of controlling this for a while?
That's exactly right, because the grain that's out there, we've got a lot more grain stored this year than we've seen in quite a while. Farmers didn't sell because they wanted a better price. Market's been going the wrong way, so now it's going to be who's going to win. Is it going to be the end users that have to come out and buy it and pay up for it, or is it going to be the farmers who all of a sudden have to give up because they've got bills they've got to pay? And that's going to be a tough thing down the road, and at the moment, that's not good.
Well, what we're hearing is because of some of those input costs again, the shift may be to soybean acres. But I guess every time we talk about that, when we get right down to turning the wheels, we don't change much.
That's exactly right. And you hear the soybean acres because everybody says it's easier to produce. You don't have the fertilizer costs. I've got producers that can still make money raising corn but can't make it raising soybeans. And it always comes down not only to your production costs, but where you're marketing at. And if you're where you've got facilities that's giving you a good basis, that helps a lot, and that makes a lot of difference too.
Let's look at the other side then, what's going on in the livestock sector. This cattle trade, boy, it just seems to me like it's pretty difficult for us to continue to expand, is because of the prices we're seeing right now.
Exactly. Cattlemen is in the worst shape of anybody right now, and it does not look like it's going to get better in the near term. Now, cattle are notorious for turning around and going back the other direction. Hopefully that happens. It happened back in October. The only problem is we didn't stay up long enough for guys to take advantage of it, or they thought we was going to see more upside. And as every day goes by, we see more and more cattle guys losing big money out there. Feed yards losing $300 to $500 a head right now, and it makes you wonder why you even want to step into the market and buy cattle right now, because the future does not look all that rosy. We've got way too many cattle, we've got way too much beef, and our demand is hurting out there.
Well, right now the featuring from now to the end of the year is going to be on pork and poultry. But do we need to look beyond what the demand is in the U.S. and look worldwide?
Well, that's true, but so far the worldwide demand has not been that good either. We've been seeing it come down. The higher dollars hurt us. Other countries' their economies are not as good. And now we're going to have to contend with whether or not we're going to see some problems with Mexico and Canada, because it looks like they're going to be able to retaliate on our cool program.
Well, as we look to the new year, are there a couple things that you're telling some of your folks to maybe to look for, some broad parameters as we look at spring, and then looking at a marketing plan for the coming year?
Well, I think one thing you got to look at is we need to start getting real good about figuring our break-evens, understanding what we need to make it out there. And a lot of us are lax about that, and we need to improve that. The grain markets, they're going to give us an opportunity somewhere. You just never know when. The next big thing ahead of us is the January USDA report. That could be something that could help us, or it could make things even worse. The cattle market, we're going to have to start seeing this beef demand pick up. We're going to have to see the retailers bring down their prices, so that way the consumers can take advantage of the big drop we've seen in beef prices.
All right, Tom, if folks want to talk more about some of those thoughts with you or anything, how can they get a hold of you?
They can get us toll-free on the phone, they can get us on the internet, or they can get us on Twitter by using 866-GO-TO-TOM.
All right, Tom Leffler with Leffler Commodities LLC has joined us from Manhattan. I'm Ken Rogers.